All right, ready to dive into a classic.
Always up for a good deep dive, yeah.
This time, we're tackling The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Stephen Covey, the man, the myth, the legend.
Right. I mean, who hasn't heard of this book?
Exactly. But even if you've skimmed it, we're going deeper, unearthing those little golden nuggets that might have slipped by on the first read,
Absolutely. It's easy to miss the subtleties when you're just trying to get through.
So for those who might not be as familiar, set the stage for us. What makes this book such a big deal, even decades later?
Well, I think it's because Covey wasn't interested in quick fixes. So many self-help books promise you the moon in like a week, right?
Oh yeah, the 7 days to a new you kind of thing.
Exactly. Covey's different. He focuses on timeless principles. He argues that real change, that comes from a fundamental shift in your thinking, your whole paradigm.
Paradigm shift. Okay, love that phrase, but what does it actually look like?
Okay, picture this. You're up against a deadline, right?
Stressful already, I can feel it.
And your computer decides to just die. Someone with a reactive paradigm, they probably freak out.
Oh, totally. Lost files, missed deadline, the whole 9 yards.
But someone embracing Covey's principles, they take a breath, acknowledge the situation, and then focus on what they can control. Call IT, brainstorm, tackle a different task in the meantime.
Same situation, totally different response.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So how did these 7 habits actually help us, make that shift?
Think of them as tools to put those principles into action. And all starts with habit 1. Be proactive.
Sounds kind of obvious.
Right. But it's more than just being busy. It's about recognizing that you always have a choice in how you respond to things.
Even when your computer crashes.
Even then, it's that moment, that pause where you decide, okay, what's my next move?
Owning the situation. I like it.
Exactly. And once you've got that proactive mindset, then we move to habit 2. Begin with the end in mind.
This one always makes me think about goal setting, vision boards, that whole thing.
It is about goals, but on a much deeper level. Covey challenges you to think about your legacy, your values. What do you want to be remembered for?
Wow, that's a big question.
It is, but it's important because once you have that clear vision, then you can start aligning your actions with it.
And I'm guessing that's where habit 3 comes in.
You got it. But first things first.
Time management. Here we come.
That's part of it, sure. But it's also about understanding the difference between what's urgent and what's actually important.
Oh, like that project I've been putting off. It's important to me,
Yeah.
but it's not urgent this very second, so it keeps getting pushed aside.
Exactly. Covey's time management matrix helps you visualize that. It's about making sure those important but not urgent things don't get lost in the shuffle.
Making time for what matters.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're being proactive, aligning with our values, prioritizing. What's next?
Now we get into the good stuff. Habit 4, think win-win.
Okay, I have to admit that one always sounded a little too,
Cheesy.
yeah, a little bit like who wants to lose?
Right. But it's not about being nice all the time. It's about shifting from a scarcity mindset, this idea that there's only so much to go around, to an abundance mindset, believing that everyone can benefit.
So it's less about I win, you lose,
Yeah.
and more about collaboration.
Exactly. It's about approaching your interactions with that spirit of collaboration.
And I'm going to guess that leads us perfectly into habit 5.
You know it. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
I'm sensing a theme here.
For sure, this is all about empathy. Really listening to understand, not just to reply.
Oh, I am so guilty of that. Already thinking about what I'm going to say next.
Most of us are. But when you really listen, you pick up on so much more. Body language, tone of voice.
All that unspoken stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got these strong connections. We're communicating effectively. Now what?
Time to synergize. Habit 6.
Okay, I know it's a real word, but it always makes me think of like corporate retreats and trust falls.
Right. But at its core, synergy is about the power of teamwork. It's recognizing that when you bring together different perspectives, you can achieve something much greater than you could alone. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right?
I'm liking this less corporate jargon definition much better.
Good. And finally, we get to habit 7, sharpen the saw.
Self-care time. Bring on the face masks and bubble baths.
Well, it is about self-care, but in a much more holistic way. Covey talks about physical, mental, social, emotional, even spiritual renewal.
So it's about taking care of yourself on every level.
Exactly, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be effective in any area of your life.
This has been eye-opening.
Yeah.
Really. So any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Just remember, These habits, they're not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing journey. Start with one, really focus on it, and then move on to the next. Small changes add up over time.
I love that. No need to overwhelm yourself. Just pick one and go for it. And listeners, as you're thinking about these habits, here's something to ponder. If you could choose just one to focus on this week, which one would it be? And how would you apply it to something you're facing right now? Think about it. Until next time.